Sometimes when you want to eat the best pork available, you've got to get your own. Yes, that would be pig crap. Today, it's time to go get a pig. So I literally just got a phone call that my farmer got a hold of the other farmer. That's more or less how it's going here. And we've got to drive down to Armstrong Creek, Wisconsin to pick up my pig. Alright, here is the Wisber Farm. We come up here and meet Farmer Matt, and we're going to go out and get the pig. I see he's up there at the barn waiting for me.
Careful, it's slippery.
It's slippery. Are you ready, Farmer Matt?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go get some pigs.
Alright, so where are we going to get the pig there, Matt?
On the Armstrong Creek. A guy by the name of Bob. His last name's Polish, so don't ask me to pronounce it. Well, you'll see when we get there. He's got a number of hogs over there. And I think this is actually where we're going to send all our CSA customers this year. I've kind of already worked that out. So, with the exception of you and me, there'll be no pork being raised at our farm for anyone other than, you know, me or you.
Remember that little thing I said about me working at the farm? This is where it comes into effect.
Yeah. This is farmhand privilege, you know. I wouldn't do this for anyone else, literally anyone else.
I don't know, after the half a hog that I got last year, I'm hooked.
Oh yeah.
So this year I was like, I want a whole hog. Anyway, I'm thinking, what, you got a boy, right?
Yeah, I've got that little boar. This will be the sister or whatever. He just had all the boars neutered today after I got mine. So there'll be no more uncut little boys there. And since they just had surgery, you can't pick a boy out. So
Well, I guess we're getting a girl.
Anyway, if you're growing it out, yeah.
So I think the most exciting part for me is to hold the pig on the way home, right? That's what I get to do, hold the pig.
Yeah, throw it in the back of the truck.
Cool. We got plenty of room right here in the back seat. I don't see a problem in that, do you? No? Yeah?
That's not happening. No pigs in the truck.
Apparently the pig is not riding in the truck with us.
Pigs ride in the back.
That one's a pretty nice, hefty, nice size is there. One's back there laying down. Yeah, that might, you know, go ahead, yeah.
Darn Matt, he's got experience here.
Does not like to be held.
Nope, sure don't. Oh, that's a baby. Yeah, Big Daddy here is a big puppy. Give you a size on him. How big he is. That's good, huh? Oh, somebody's taking Dylan's back there, girl. So, this is Mama. This is Daddy. Give you an idea of how big. Yeah, watch out. It's an electric fence. You know it's there. And that's all.
And that's one reason you don't want to touch that fence.
Yep.
Man, it hurts a pig that big.
Oh, it hurt you too if you got it right on the nose.
I reckon so. Mama and Daddy.
What about you? Huh?
Sorry, little buddy, you can't ride with us. All right. Benefits of raising your own pig.
You know where and how it was raised. That's the biggest thing. You know,
You're you're definitely not, you know, looking at Walmart or some other corporation on growing your food. You're doing it yourself.
And you're voting not to support those food systems by doing it yourself too. Every time you spend $1 on food, you're voting. You're voting for chemicals used in agriculture, in feedlot production of meats, you know, so on and so forth. So anytime you spend $1 on food, you're voicing your opinion to keep buying that food and for that producer to keep producing it the way that they are. However, if you step out of line and hook up with a small local farmer or you know, do it yourself, then you are effectively voting with those dollars to, you know, to eat that kind of food. And you know, as a small local farmer, I sure do appreciate it.
So other than being a simple brown pig, so what kind of breed are we talking about, Matt?
These pigs that we got today are Old English Berkshire hogs. The word old should give a little bit of credence to the fact that they're what's known as a heritage breed. They're an older breed. They have traits that the modern pigs aren't bred for. So these pigs are bred for cold hardiness, for taste, for the ability to convert just waste around the farm into pounds of pork, as well as do work around the farm, like plowing your garden, so on and so forth. They generally have less problems birthing, better mothers, things like that as well. When you hear Berkshire pork, usually that's in reference to the new breed of Berkshire or the modern breed. And that's bred for confinement operations, fast weight gain on the carcass, you know, things like that. So the newer breeds of Berkshire will usually have a band around them of pink, and then they'll be black on the butt, so on and so forth. However, you know, those pigs don't do as well in either a pastured system or just for the local guy. So, you know, I personally prefer to wait an extra month and get better product out of it, better marbling. And it's not just about the breed either. It's what you feed them and how you feed them. You know, understanding the pigginess of pigs will take you a long way whenever you're pork farming. You can start with the best breed in the world, which some people will say is a Mangalitsa, some people say is a Mulefoot, some people say is a Old Spot or a Hereford or an Old English Berkshire. And if you just feed them garbage in, garbage out. But if you take your time and feed them good food, which we found feed them locally farmed rations. So I don't agree with how our neighbors are raising their crops, but at the same time, I don't disagree with it enough to boycott them. I encourage them every time I talk to them, hey, you know, use no chemicals, go organic, etc. Better for you, better for your farm. But at the same time, you know, there's not a ton of people lining up to buy it up here in their minds. So it's a difficult road, but long story short, it's what you feed them. And our finishing process really is what makes our pork our pork. You know, the last 60 to 90 days in particular, what we feed them makes a heck of a lot of difference in the marbling of the pork, the taste of the pork, and just the aesthetics of it. You know, pork is a red meat. It's not a white meat. It's white or gray or pink because that's how it was raised and that's how it was fed in a factory farming system. Now, some people say it's more tender, less fatty, and they like that. Well, I understand, you know, that's the way you like it, or, you know, maybe you've never had really good pork. To each their own, I suppose, but I personally have eaten all kinds of pork, and I can tell you that I prefer home-raised pork. Of course, I also have a biased opinion.
So what's the difference between farm pork, like how you're doing it, and what we see at Walmart?
The sows, whenever they go to farrow, are basically put in a crate where they can't move for a week or two. The piglets are pulled off their mom as early as 15 days, as late as 35 days in those systems. We don't pull ours off of the sow until about 56. Then in addition to that, those pigs that are raised indoors, the argument for doing it indoors is that they're not getting worms from the pasture and things like that, internal parasites. Now, the catch-22 there is they're already worming the hell out of these pigs. They're giving them antibiotics and they're feeding like that. So when they're crowded, anytime you get crowded conditions, you have a higher likelihood for viruses and things like that. There's a virus that's been affecting pork producers in this country called the PED-B virus, PED space B. And it's basically the avian bird flu of the pork world, and it's wreaked havoc in the last few years. If you look at pork shares across the board, the futures are up but the shares are down, and that's because there's a ton of people just stepping out of line and raising their own pork. Pigs are literally, in my opinion, next to egg-laying chickens, the easiest animals to raise. It does not require much, especially during the grow-out period, which is from the time that they're a piglet being sold, also known as a shote, to the time that they're at market weight, usually around 280 pounds. There's little more to it than just food and water, and it's incredibly simple. If they get really, really deathly ill, we'll administer antibiotics, but it's very, very rare. I haven't had to do it yet. I've had some pretty nasty injuries on pigs. But pigs are incredibly resilient. And a large part of the health of our pigs comes from the fact that they're in fresh air, sunshine, and they're eating grass, and they're, being pigs. We employ them. We use them as a source of labor on our farm for our gardens in particular. The antibiotic use, I can't talk about this enough because that threatens every living thing on the face of this planet. The viruses, the bacteriums, and E. coli in particular that are coming out of these confined animal farm operations are now antibiotic resistant. So that means that they're throwing the last-ditch antibiotics, the strong stuff that they can cook up in labs at them right now. And some of these strains of these bugs are resistant to it. So if it morphs again, we have no way to stop it, literally. And if it jumps from one species to another, then it becomes a whole new ball game, especially if it jumps to humans. And that's kind of the fear factor of it. But 90% of the antibiotics that are used in this country goes towards livestock agriculture. It's an epidemic of sorts. We as human beings have a vested interest in what's going on in those big animal operations, confined animal farming operations, also known as CAFOs. Not just because of how the food that's coming out of there tastes, looks, and the nutritional density of it, which is all lower than farm-raised pork, but also because it potentially threatens, our lives as a species.
Scratch behind the ear. Yeah. Scratch behind the ear. Oh, does that feel good? Does that feel good? Scratch behind the ear. Yeah. That's the new addition. Now I just gotta fly over here to Little Caesars Pizza, grab my kids some pizza for supper, and I've been invited to a 4-H banquet tonight for Dickinson County, which I'll be attending. It's my idea to start vlogging a little bit more and adding that into my videos, giving you a look at my life and what I'm doing with it. Not an everyday perspective, say, but just a little bit of the things that I do. And, this seemed like a good video to start.
$1.40 is your pay. There you go, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.